We're back. So now we're going to go in back and forth from percents to fractions. So I have 42%. I want to get rid of this percent symbol and replace it with something else. I'm not going to decimal point switch. That's not going to help me. I don't want a decimal. I'm trying to get to a fraction. So which is the easy way to make a fraction of our four options?
42 by 100.
The top one, the divided by 100. No. That doesn't get me a fraction right away.
Oh, divided by the 100. What was 100? I choose that automatically. Sorry.
The bottom one, then I have to multiply some things. That's still more work than I need. Yeah, the third one, I can get rid of the percent symbol and just put it over 100. Ta-da! I made it a fraction. Now, I'm not quite done. I've done what they asked me to. I wrote it as a fraction. But there's this annoying rule that fraction answers don't count as all the way finished until you reduce them. So because of that, I'm not quite done. But I've done what it told me to do. I've gone from percent to fraction. I just take away the percent symbol and replace it with an over 100. It's that easy. So how do I reduce this one so I'm actually all the way done? Divide top and bottom by 2. If this doesn't make sense to you because we haven't talked about fractions, don't worry, just kind of let it go in one ear and out the other. But now we're done with that one. Okay, another one, 80%. I have a percent sign. I don't want a percent sign. I want a fraction. So which of the 4 things do I do? Yeah, put it as 80 over 100. That's quick and easy. And just like before, I finished the task. I've replaced the percent format with fraction format. But there's that rule that I have to reduce things. I can certainly divide by 10. That would get me 8/10. I'm still not all the way reduced. There is no virtue to doing all your reducing in one step. Maybe you saw that we could have done divided by 20 top and bottom, but if you did, that doesn't make you a special person except in fraction reduction. So taking 2 steps is perfectly fine. Okay, now I'm going to do something that will scare you. Maybe this is the hardest they get. This involves doing some stuff with mixed numbers. We haven't done this yet in class, so feel free to just zone out if this part doesn't work for you. But if I want to take 2 3/5, and that's a percent. So remember my grids back here? So this is like saying I have 2 grids shaded and then a little bit more. Does that make sense?
Okay, can we go back because we're just a little confused why we use 10 that time instead of 2? Is it the largest number that you go in?
Right.
I can divide the top and bottom of a fraction by anything. I'm just trying to find things that are helpful. If I picked 7, it would be a mess, but 10 worked.
Because 10 was 80
And 100.
and it reduces down to like,
Makes it.
so
Yeah.
10 divided by, or 80 divided by 10 is 8, and then 100 divided by 10.
We'll do this a lot more later.
By each.
Yes, and then 8 divided by 2 is 4, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So where do I get the 10 out of?
Why didn't you do that?
Because it's getting to be after 8, so it thinks that we want to close on those. We don't, we're still here. Okay, but back to this confusing one. If you have dealt with mixed numbers before, you know that you can't do anything with them. You have to make them into plain and proper fractions that don't have a whole number and a fraction stuck next to each other. And the way to do this is 2 times 5, then plus the 3. So we get 10 plus 3 is 13/5. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry. We will do more of that another time.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Why is it 13?
You take the 2 times 5 and multiply them and then add the 3.
Oh,
And
okay.
we'll do a whole lesson on this later.
Oh.
So if that rings a bell, great. If it's new to you, don't worry. We'll actually spend time on it another time when it's not almost special. But just know that for now that that's okay. But now I don't want to take 13/5 and put it over 100. That's not the simple way to get rid of my percent symbol because I already have a fraction bar right there. So which of the 4 things is going to be the right one to use this time?
Divided by 1/100.
Yeah, the last one, the times 1/100. This is going to be the right one this time. So I will take my 13/5 and replace the percent symbol with a times 1/100. We haven't done fraction multiplying yet. Again, we'll have real fraction classes sometime. But if you remember, maybe you multiply fractions by multiplying separately across the top and across the bottom. So 13 times 1 is 13. 5 times 100 is 500. And this one doesn't reduce, we are just done. So this was really bizarre. Often, when we wanted to turn a percent into a fraction, it was pretty trivial. We just erase the percent symbol and write fraction bar 100. And then maybe reduce. But in this special case where we have a fraction bar already in the percent sign, then it's the last one, the times 1/100. That's the easy one to do. Okay, last slide. We're almost done. How do I turn a fraction into a percent? The answer to this is we're going to use our calculators. If I have my 1/4, how do I turn that into a decimal with a calculator? I go top divided by bottom. One divided by 4, and I would get 0.25. And then I'm going to use my riplop, going right into percent. And I get 25%. Riplop is so fast that I'm not going to do this page backwards. Anything messing about with numerators and denominators and stuff, that's going to take too long. So if I'm trying to go from fractions to percents, this is my process. I'll pick up my calculator because these days we all have phones. On the GED, you can have a calculator. Top divided by bottom gives you a decimal, riplop, and you're done. Could I do this another way? Sure. If you wanted to, you could be incredibly clever and annoying and say 1/4, let's say times 25 top and bottom, is 25 100ths, right? A quarter of a dollar is 25 cents. And 25/100 is the same as 25%. Sometimes you can actually do this type of annoying thing, show off how smart you are and make a denominator of 100. But most fractions don't do that. Usually there isn't some magic number that can turn the bottom into 100. And anyway, even if there is, by the time the annoying smarty pants does this, you're like, you've done that much faster, right? So yes, you can do sometimes this method backwards because we're doing the backwards thing. We're going from fraction to percent. But that's not the process we normally use, just top divided by bottom and ripple up and we're done. Okay, 7/8. So what's 7/8? 7 divided by 8 turns into what? So 0.875, then we ripple up. And we get 87.5%. Some fractions, when you do top divided by bottom, you get a repeating decimal, not a problem. What's 1 divided by 9? Yeah, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 forever, right? That's not a big deal. I'm still going to do exactly the same thing. So there will be 2 of those ones before the decimal point, and then all the rest are just there forever and ever. My 11-year-old was very confused yesterday. We were talking in the car on the way to his dojo. How come pi isn't infinity? If the decimal keeps going forever, doesn't that like add up more and more? And eventually you get like an infinite amount of number? How come it stays less than 4? So, just because it has an infinite number of decimal digits doesn't mean it's infinitely big. 1/9 is still 1/9 of a cake or 1/9 of a waffle or something. It's not very big. Certainly not an infinite number of waffles. Yeah, things get weird. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording because we're out of time.